Search, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the RocketMill team in their ongoing mission to explore exciting new platforms and to seek out new opportunities for brands like yours, to boldly go where no marketer has ever gone before. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my talk, which is called Voice Search for Marketers, here today and here to stay. Now, obviously, I've opened with a nod to Star Trek, the television series which started in 1966, the height of the space race, and yet it's still capturing the imagination today. Now, I'm not much of a Trekkie, but as a child, I did have a model of NCC 1701, the USS Starship Enterprise, dangling from my bedroom ceiling. That was as close as I ever came to bringing the world I'd seen on screen to life. I wasn't the only person to want to do so, because quite a few people from a company you might have heard of have also been trying to recreate Star Trek for years. Now, don't just take my word for it. I've got a clip now of Amit Singhal, who was formerly head of search at Google. He's in conversation with Silicon Valley legend Guy Kawasaki at the South by Southwest Interactive Conference back in 2013.
Can you talk about this new thing, Google Now? Like, what's the vision? What are you trying to accomplish there?
So if you think of search as that future Star Trek computer, which is like a perfect assistant by your side whenever you need it. You can talk to it, ask it things, but then it should be able to tell you things when you need to know without even asking it. For example, if your flight is delayed, then you shouldn't be asking, what is the status of my flight? You should just know that your flight is delayed. Or if your meeting is an hour away and there's bad traffic, then Google should just tell you, well, you better leave now because you'll be stuck in traffic. That's our vision of Google Now.
Google back in 2013. I've got another great search from Google on voice search, which is Captain Kirk never pulled out a keyboard to ask a question. Voice search is here, and it's here to stay. Google aren't the only major industry player to be trialing voice search. You've got the likes of Amazon and Microsoft and Apple all in this space, the biggest tech giants in the known universe. And I'll give you some stats on this. So according to DigiTimes, 10 million Echo speakers from Amazon, they're going to be shipped in 2017. And that's in no small part due to a 50% reduction in the price of the Amazon Echo Dot, making these much more accessible than they were before. Furthermore, at its Build 2017 conference, Microsoft announced that HP and Intel were building Cortana-powered connected home smart speakers. And that's in addition to the 400 million Windows 10 laptops and PCs which have got Cortana baked in straight out of the box. And of course, Apple will have, in time for Christmas, HomePod, their go at a smart speaker. Launching in December 2017, you're going to have hands-free access to Siri, to Apple Music, to the Apple ecosystem, and indeed to your smart home accessories. So hopefully that's wet your whistle. So let's have a natter and answer some of the most common questions about voice search. Firstly, what is voice search? Well, quite simply, it's searching the web by speaking aloud to a compatible device. And most modern smartphones will have some kind of voice search probably baked in or available via an app. So Android has OK Google built in straight out the box. You've got Windows Mobile, which has Cortana. You've got Apple, which has Siri. And of course, you can install the Google app. And then you get access to the search engine with voice search. And what's more, if you tether these up to your proprietary data, so your flight info that you might have in your emails, in your inbox, your appointment info that you have in your calendar, you get an even more enhanced experience. These are virtual assistants which will help you with your lives. And now you have smart speakers like Amazon Echo, like HomePod, like these new technologies coming along from HP and Intel using Cortana. You like Google Home, of course. Smart speakers are at the heart of the home. So how many people are using voice search? How many people are you talking to? Well, I've got some 2017 data from Business Insider saying that 35.6 million US citizens will be using smart speakers at least once per month. Now, I suspect that's more than one user per device. And in terms of device split, at the moment, you're looking about 71% using Amazon Echo, about 24% using Google Home. And I expect that to shift over time. Obviously, Amazon were first to market on this. Google are going to lift off because I think they have the better product. Now, they don't give us much data, Google. Our paid media team will know only too well that they can be quite elusive. But in 2014, they did give us some stats about voice search, so they're a little bit old. But we know that at that point in time, 55% of teenagers were using voice search every single day, and indeed 41% of adults were using it daily. A couple of years later, they updated that to show the growth of voice search, whereby 20% of mobile searches were conducted by voice, not by typing. And by 2020, analysts are predicting that 30 to 50% of all searches will be conducted by voice. They'll be spoken aloud rather than typed. And indeed, I think the speed that this is growing at has actually slightly caught Google on the hop. So here is a screenshot of a tweet by the marketer John Lincoln, who spotted OK Google, the trigger word for voice search on Android and in the Google app, amongst the suggested bids in the AdWords keyword planner. So you can see it's growing so quickly, even Google are getting slightly caught out by this. So how do voice queries differ from traditional keywords? Well, firstly, they're more likely to be questions and to use a more natural form of language. Once upon a time, you had to think about what you wanted to ask and modify it slightly to fit within a search field. So you might have asked for Australian travel guide, Australian holiday guide. But now you can just straight up ask, do I need a travel visa to visit Australia? It's much more conversational. Furthermore, because this is generally conducted on portable devices, so mobile phones, it increases the likelihood of a local intent. You're more likely to be out and about and to ask something like, restaurants near me. And again, you can see how inferred aspects of the search are more important than before. So location, your previous searches, near me, even just aspects like information it might have picked up from an email. This is all going to influence the results you get because they're much more personal than before. Furthermore, users with voice search are generally seeking the answer, not an answer. When you have a screen in front of you, you're happy to pass through the information provided to find the most relevant stuff for you. If you're dealing with voice search, you might well be doing this while preoccupied. It might be your mobile phone that's attached to your hands-free kit in your car. It might be your voice search speaker in your kitchen. And so you just want an answer, and you just want the right answer read aloud. Why is it growing as quickly as it is? Well, I've kind of touched upon it there. You can search in many new situations than you could before. You can search while you're preoccupied by driving or cooking. You don't need to be looking at the screen. And information can be pushed to you, not just pulled. I was thinking earlier today about the early days of email where, if you wanted to, you could log into AOL and you got that "you got mail" message, and it told you that while you've been away, a message had come through. And nowadays, we expect our phones to just tell us when we have a new email, and then we go, oh great, there's a new email there, I will go and look at it. Information is pushed to you when it's relevant, not necessarily needing to be pulled in by you. And voice search is facilitating the same thing. So if a Google Home speaker recognises that you need to know traffic information there and then, or you're going to be late for an appointment, it tells you that. It doesn't wait for you to ask. It's therefore deeply personalised, and because of the style of presentation, it's inherently natural. It's much more natural than a search field. And finally, as I guess I tend to prove once a month during our meetings, speaking aloud is much faster than typing or texting. So to give you some stats on this, a typical audio book, you're looking at about 150 to 160 words per minute of information being conveyed. In this presentation, I'm going to try and speak a little more slowly, so maybe 120 words per minute being conveyed. Even the fastest professional typist is unlikely to go much above, say, 80 words a minute. And interestingly enough, Google actually trialled this. So at Think with Google, a recent conference, they put the world record fastest rapper up against the world record fastest texter. Let's see how they got on.
Let's ask the question, how is the weather in the Caribbean in June? 3, 2, 1, go.
How is the weather in the Caribbean in June?
Oh, Ocean takes it again.
According to current results, temperatures during summer generally stabilise in the high 80s degrees Fahrenheit during the day and 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit at night near island coasts throughout the Caribbean.
What's 80 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius?
80 degrees Fahrenheit equals 26.667 degrees Celsius.
You can also see how accurate the voice recognition is with modern voice search. Early adopters might have struggled, they might have found themselves being misheard. Nowadays it's actually very good. Okay, so you're convinced, you want to get in this game and you want to optimise your pages for voice search. How do you do that? How do you make your website optimised for voice searches on Google? Well, firstly, my best practice SEO advice that I always go back to: build landing pages for topics, not for keywords. The old days of trying to rank for a particular term are over. You need to be thinking about topics and making sure you are the authority in that space. Furthermore, you should be answering questions throughout your content. So don't just have an FAQs page that you treat like a content cupboard where you take things that come through on the odd email to your customer service team, you chuck them on the FAQ page to die. No, put those questions into your highest converting, most important landing pages. I mean, incidentally, the structure of this deck is not a coincidence. I'm answering questions throughout because I know that's how voice search works. Watch out for featured snippets in your traditional desktop search results. So Google reads aloud from featured snippets, and if you're on the first page of results alongside a featured snippet but you don't have that space, then that is an opportunity for you to optimize your content to better answer the question than whatever is in the featured snippet at that moment in time. That way you can leapfrog the pack, and potentially without even being the traditional #1 10 blue link organic, you can actually go above the organic rankings, and you can have position 0, as it's kind of informally known. You can be the authority. Not only will that make you the voice search answer, it means you'll massively improve your click-through rate on desktop devices. Also watch out for the people also ask box. I'll give you an example of that in a moment, but it's another feature of traditional desktop results which will help you to optimize for voice search. And finally, here's a top tip. Filter your Search Console queries. Some of the best data you have to optimize for voice search is already at your fingertips. If you haven't set up Google Search Console for your domain, what are you doing? Google is giving you information for free, but once upon a time they might have given you through analytics, you know, that list of keywords that nowadays is just all not provided. Nowadays, the best you can do is to go to Search Console. Now, sometimes me and Dan from the technical SEO team will argue about how accurate the data in Search Console is, and maybe it's not as good as we once got through analytics, but nonetheless, what it does give you is a list of queries where you have been amongst the results. And if you filter that by the 5 W's, who, what, where, when, why, and the 1 H, how, then you will find questions for which you are amongst the results. And that's so powerful for optimizing your content for voice search. So let's have a couple of little screenshots to get a feel for what I'm talking about. Here we have the desktop search results for the term how to change a decimal to a fraction. And you can see how Google has reformatted the landing page from Maths is Fun into a numbered list in order to create a featured snippet. And that is what would be likely read aloud on a voice search for this term. However, what's quite interesting is that's not quite true. When you modify it slightly, and you go, how do you change a fraction to a decimal? Very similar.
According to BBC, converting a fraction to a decimal. To change a fraction to a decimal, you divide the top number by the bottom number. Some decimals will terminate like the example above, but many will not.
You can see how you get a very different result for a very similar query. It goes to show that actually in this space, I guess none of these pages have really been written with voice search in mind, and so none are really dominating. It's kind of basing it on the individual query and going, well, which one's got the closest reference to what's in the actual question at that time. I can see great space here for optimization for voice. Also have a look at that people also ask box, so you can see that someone who searched for how to change a fraction to a decimal, and on the previous screenshot you saw how to convert between decimal and percentage. So you can see how covering off different ways of approaching the same topic is more likely to make you rank amongst voice search results. And furthermore, here's a little screenshot of RocketMill's Google Search Console. So these are questions where Google thinks we're relevant and where we rank amongst the results, just ordered by the most impressions. So immediately I can see great videos we could make or great blog posts we could write where we have a chance to be the authority for voice search. If you layer on click-through rate data, so you have the lowest clicks for the highest impressions, then you can see where you've got the greatest opportunity, where either you have lots of impressions but not too many clicks, or not many impressions, quite a few clicks. You can kind of prioritize your content optimization. So a bit of further reading and watching on this. I recommend John Norris's talk, our head of content from a couple of months ago, where he talked about how to optimize the Tally's learning and development site for users and for voice search. And furthermore, keep an eye on the RocketMill website and our blog and our YouTube channel. We are dedicating around 1 day a week to research and development to stay abreast of changes in voice search. So you can expect lots more presentations, videos like this one, and articles about making your website voice friendly. Because ultimately, we need to stop treating voice search as if it's science fiction, when really it's science fact and it's here today. The mobile phone is a computer which you probably have in your pocket that knows where you are, and it probably knows what you're doing. And you've probably got a smart speaker in your home which you can activate without touching it or even looking at it. So look, in conclusion, I started this talk by highlighting Google's desire to replicate the Star Trek computer. So as a little tribute, with voice search, we know that Google have become closer than ever before to getting things right and building Star Trek. Almost all of you in the audience have this technology on your person. Some of you have it in your home, so don't forget to optimize for voice search if you want your business to live long and prosper on the web.